Clara, what are you doing here? I froze in the doorway of my own apartment, my hand still on the knob. The bags of groceries I'd been carrying slipped from my fingers and hit the floor with a dull thud. Ethan was on our couch, but he wasn't alone. Vanessa Monroe sat beside him, her perfectly manicured hand resting on his thigh like she owned it. Like she owned him. Her designer dress probably cost more than our monthly rent. Rent that I paid. Working 2 jobs while my husband pursued opportunities. I asked you a question. Ethan stood up, and there wasn't even a flicker of guilt in his eyes. Just annoyance. Why are you back so early? This is my home. My voice came out sharper than I intended, shock giving way to anger. What is SHE doing here? Vanessa smiled, slow and cruel. Ethan and I have been getting close, Clara. Surely you've noticed he's been distant? How can you not see that he's moved on? The words hit me like a slap. We've been married 3 years, Ethan. 3 years. 3 years of what? He stepped toward me, his face twisted with contempt. 3 years of struggling? Of living in this cramped apartment? Of eating your pathetic packed lunches while watching everyone else succeed? I worked 2 jobs to support us. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I believed in you. I believed in your dreams. Well, maybe you should have dreamed bigger. Vanessa rose from the couch, moving to stand beside Ethan. She linked her arm through his with possessive confidence. Ethan has potential. Real potential. He just needed someone who could see it. Someone who could actually help him achieve it. I took a step toward them, my whole body shaking. You're disgusting. Both of you. Ethan, how could you? Don't you dare. Ethan moved between us, his hand coming up. Not quite touching me, but the threat was clear. Don't you dare touch her. I stared at him, my husband of 3 years, and saw a stranger. Did you just defend her? Against me? Your wife. Wife. He said the word like it tasted bitter. You want to talk about being a wife? What kind of wife are you, Clara? You're small town. You're basic. You don't understand ambition, networking, image. Vanessa gets it. She sees what I could be. I see what you are. My voice dropped to barely a whisper. And it makes me sick. Oh, honey. Vanessa's laugh was like breaking glass. You're the one who should be sick. 3 years, and you couldn't even give him children. What kind of woman can't even? The sound of the door opening cut her off. Ethan's parents walked in, because of course they had a key, because of course this humiliation wasn't complete yet, followed by 2 of our neighbors who must have heard the shouting. What's going on here? Ethan's mother, Patricia, looked between us. Then her eyes landed on Vanessa with something like approval. Oh, Vanessa, dear. What a lovely surprise. Mrs. Cole. Vanessa's voice turned honey-sweet. I'm so sorry you had to walk in on this. Clara just came home and started making a scene. I'm making a scene? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They were in my apartment, together, and I'm the problem? Patricia's face hardened. Honestly, Clara, what did you expect? A woman who can't give her husband children, who can't keep him satisfied. Are you seriously defending him cheating on me? I'm being realistic. She crossed her arms. My son is ambitious. Successful. He needs a wife who can match that. Someone sophisticated. Someone from the right kind of family. Her eyes swept over me dismissively. You've always been beneath his level. The neighbors whispered to each other. I could feel their judgment, their pity, their schadenfreude at watching someone else's marriage implode. 3 years, I said again, looking at Ethan. 3 years I sacrificed everything. I worked myself to exhaustion. I put your dreams before my own. And this is what I get. You get reality, Clara. Ethan walked to the bedroom and emerged with a suitcase. Already packed, I realized with a jolt. He'd planned this. I'm done. Vanessa and I are moving forward. She has connections, opportunities, a future to offer me. And I have nothing? The words cracked in my throat. You said it, not me. He moved toward the door, Vanessa gliding beside him like she'd already won. Pack your things. I want you out by tomorrow. This is my apartment too. Actually, sweetheart. Vanessa paused at the door. Ethan's name is on the lease. Yours isn't. Funny how things work out. They left. Patricia followed them with one last disgusted look at me. The neighbors scurried away, probably already pulling out their phones to spread the gossip. I was alone in the apartment that suddenly didn't feel like home, surrounded by spilled groceries and the shattered pieces of my life. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Lawyer will contact you about the divorce. Don't make this difficult. I sank to the floor, finally letting the tears come. I had nothing. No husband. No home. No dignity. I had nothing left to lose. Across the city, in a penthouse suite overlooking downtown Austin, a different conversation was taking place. Is this the address? Yes, sir. According to the Blood Donation Center's records, this is where she's been working. Clara Bennett. The DNA match was 99.9% conclusive. If your heart is racing right now, you're not alone. Clara just lost everything. Her husband, her dignity, her home. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there right now. But here's what I need you to know. This story doesn't end in the dirt. It ends with a crown. Subscribe now, because you're going to watch Clara transform from a woman broken by betrayal into a queen nobody saw coming. And if you've ever felt invisible, underestimated, or thrown away, this journey is for you. Don't miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button. The comeback story starts here. Crown. Edward Kingsley stared at the photograph in his hands, a grainy security camera image of a young woman with dark hair and tired eyes, leaving a medical building. She's the only daughter of the Kingsley family, his wife Eleanor whispered, her voice breaking. Kidnapped 24 years ago. Our baby girl. She must have suffered so much. We'll bring her home. Edward's hand trembled as he touched the photo. Whatever it takes. We'll bring our daughter home. Yes. Eleanor pressed a handkerchief to her eyes. After all these years, finally. The private investigator cleared his throat. There's more, Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley. About her current situation. You should know, she's going through a divorce. Her husband left her for another woman. According to our research, she's struggling. Edward's jaw tightened. Then we find her immediately. Today. Right now. Sir, she's not at that address anymore. According to neighbors, she left earlier today. She might have gone to her family's home in Ohio. Then that's where we go. Edward stood, purpose radiating from him. Eleanor, call the pilot. We leave within the hour. Our daughter. Eleanor breathed, looking at the photo with a mother's longing. After all this time, we're finally going to bring her home. The bus ride from Austin to my hometown in Ohio took 14 hours. 14 hours of staring out the window, watching the landscape blur past, trying not to think about how completely my life had fallen apart. I'd always told myself that if things got really bad, I could go home. That no matter what, family would be there. I was about to learn how wrong I was. My mother's house looked the same as it always had. A small ranch-style home with peeling paint and a yard full of weeds. The car in the driveway was new, though. I wondered briefly how she'd afforded it, then pushed the thought away. I knocked. Waited. The door swung open, and my mother, Martha Bennett, stood there with her arms crossed. No hug. No concern in her eyes. Just that familiar look of disappointment I'd seen my whole life. So you're back. Mom, I can't hold on to a man. That's on you, Clara. She stepped aside to let me in, but there was no warmth in the gesture. Plenty of men don't cheat. Why did yours? The words were like a knife. How can you say that? I just told you on the phone that Ethan left me for another woman, and you're blaming me? I'm being realistic. She walked into the kitchen, and I followed, my suitcase dragging behind me. You were lucky to marry Ethan Cole. Subscribe to see what happens when a woman with nothing discovers she's actually worth billions. Because Clara's story is about to take a turn that will leave you screaming. I'm not going to Ethan. I'm not marrying some stranger. I'm not your ATM machine. Jason stood up. Hey, come on, sis. Don't be like that. I'm just trying to get married, start a life. Is that so wrong? For a moment, his reasonable tone almost worked. Almost made me feel guilty. Then I saw Mom nod approvingly at him, and I realized it was just another manipulation. You know what? I grabbed my suitcase. You're right about one thing. I'm not staying here. If you walk out that door, don't come back, Mom warned. I mean it, Clara. We don't support freeloaders. You want to be stubborn? Fine. But don't expect us to catch you when you fall. I wouldn't dream of it. I walked out, my heart pounding. Behind me, I heard Jason say, she'll be back. Where else is she going to go? I kept walking. Down the driveway. Down the street. With no plan, no money beyond what little I'd saved, and nowhere to go. But at least I'd kept my dignity. At least I'd walked away. Inside the house, Mom's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her eyes widened. Jason, look at this. It was a business card, dropped through the mail slot just minutes before Clara arrived. A heavy, expensive card with gold lettering. Kingsley Group. Private Investigation Division. And a handwritten note on the back, looking for Clara Bennett. Urgent family matter. Substantial reward for information. Kingsley Group. Jason grabbed the card. Mom, that's one of the richest companies in the country. Why are they looking for Clara? Martha stared at the door her daughter had just walked through, her mind racing. I don't know, she said slowly. But we need to find out. I walked for 3 hours before finding a cheap motel on the edge of town. The room smelled like cigarettes and desperation, but it was all I could afford. I sat on the lumpy bed and finally let myself cry. Not quiet, dignified tears. Ugly, gasping sobs that shook my whole body. I'd lost everything. My husband. My home. My family. What did I have left? My phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it, assuming it was another cruel text from Ethan or a guilt trip from Mom. But it was from an unknown number. Clara Bennett? This is Austin Regional Blood Center. We have an urgent matter to discuss regarding your recent donation. Please call us at your earliest convenience. This is extremely important. I stared at the message, confused. I'd donated blood 2 weeks ago, before everything fell apart. Had something gone wrong? Was I sick? With trembling fingers, I dialed the number. Blood Center, this is Nurse Peterson. Hi, this is Clara Bennett. I got a message. Oh, Ms. Bennett, thank you for calling back so quickly. We need you to come in as soon as possible. There's been a development. A development? Is something wrong with my blood? No, nothing like that. The nurse's voice was strange. Excited? Nervous? It's complicated. But there's a medical facility in New York that's been trying to reach you. Something about a DNA match in their system. My heart stopped. A DNA match? For what? I'm not at liberty to say over the phone. But Ms. Bennett, this is very important. Life-changing, even. How soon can you get here? I looked around my dingy motel room, at the suitcase containing everything I owned in the world. What did I have to lose? I can be there in the morning. Excellent. Ask for me specifically. And Ms. Bennett? Don't worry. I think this is going to be good news. After she hung up, I sat in the dark, my mind spinning. A DNA match? Life-changing? What could that possibly mean? I arrived at the Austin Regional Blood Center at 8 o'clock sharp, having taken the first bus back from Ohio. I'd spent the entire night unable to sleep, my mind racing with possibilities, most of them probably ridiculous. Maybe I had a long-lost sibling. Maybe there was some medical study that needed my specific blood type. 24 years ago, my wife and I were at our summer home in East Hampton. We had a 6-month-old daughter, the most beautiful baby girl in the world. His voice cracked. We'd hired a new nanny through an agency. Seemed perfectly legitimate. We ran background checks, everything. But she took our daughter one night while we were at a charity event. Just vanished. We searched for months. Years. Spent millions on private investigators. Followed every lead, no matter how small. Mr. Kingsley. The nanny's real name was Martha Bennett. She had a criminal record, fraud, identity theft, that she'd hidden under an alias. By the time we discovered the truth, she'd disappeared into the Midwest. We never stopped looking, Clara. We never stopped hoping we'd find you. Martha Bennett. My mother. Last year, we entered our DNA into every database we could find, including medical centers and blood banks. It was a long shot. But last week, we got a hit. You donated blood in Austin, Texas, and your DNA matched ours. You're our daughter, Clara. I know this sounds insane. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I'm begging you. Let us prove it. Let us show you the truth. I realized I was crying. This can't be real. It is real. We've already sent our private jet. It's landing in Austin in 45 minutes. We've arranged for a comprehensive DNA test at the best laboratory in the country. If I'm wrong, if there's any doubt, then we'll leave you alone. But please, Clara, please give us this chance. I can't. Clara. His voice gentled. Nurse Peterson told me about your recent situation. Your divorce. I'm so sorry for what you've been through. And I know this timing must seem suspicious, like we're trying to take advantage when you're vulnerable. But I swear to you, on everything I hold sacred, we've been searching for you for 24 years. We thought we'd never find you. And now that we have, I'm not going to lose you again. Nurse Peterson nodded encouragingly. What did I have to lose? I'd lost everything else. Okay, I whispered. I'll take the test. Thank you. Thank you so much. The car will be there in 30 minutes. Clara, he paused. Whether you believe it or not, you've been loved. Desperately. For your entire life. The line went dead. I sat in stunned silence until Nurse Peterson touched my shoulder gently. It's going to be okay, honey. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay. The private jet was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Leather seats, a full bar, and a flight attendant who called me Miss Bennett like I was someone important. I spent the entire flight to New York staring out the window, trying to process what was happening. If this was real, if I really was Clara Kingsley, then everything about my life was a lie. Martha Bennett had kidnapped me, raised me as her own daughter while my real parents suffered, searching endlessly. And Martha had known. The whole time. Every time she looked at me with cold indifference. Every time she treated me like a burden. She'd known she'd stolen me from a family who loved me. The rage that filled me then was unlike anything I'd ever felt. We landed at a private airfield. A sleek black car waited on the tarmac. Miss Bennett. The driver opened the door. Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley are waiting for you at St. Regis Medical Center. The DNA test will take approximately 2 hours. They've asked me to make you as comfortable as possible during the wait. The medical center was all marble floors and expensive art. I was ushered into a private room where a technician took samples of blood, saliva, and hair with quiet efficiency. The results will be ready shortly, she said with a kind smile. Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley are in the waiting room. Would you like to meet them while we process the samples? Ah, yes. I think so. She led me down another hallway to a beautifully appointed lounge. And there they were. Edward Kingsley was tall, distinguished, with silver hair and the kind of presence that commanded respect. Eleanor Kingsley looked exactly like her photograph, elegant, refined, and in this moment, absolutely terrified. When they saw me, Eleanor made a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Edward, look at her. She has your mother's eyes." And my. She couldn't finish. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face. "Clara." Edward stepped forward, his hands raised like he was afraid I'd bolt. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us this chance." I didn't know what to say. What do you say to people who might be your parents? Who might have been searching for you your entire life while you had no idea you were lost? "The necklace," Eleanor said suddenly, her eyes fixed on my throat. "You're wearing it. The ruby pendant. We gave that to you for your christening. It's been in the Kingsley family for 4 generations." My hand went to the pendant automatically. "Martha, the woman who raised me. She said it was a lucky charm. She stole it when she stole you." Edward's voice was hard. "That necklace is worth $50,000. But its real value is sentimental. It belonged to my mother, and her mother before her." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "The results are ready." We all turned. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. "Would you like them delivered privately, or—" "Tell us now," Edward said. "Please." The nurse smiled. "The DNA test confirms a 99.99% probability of biological relationship. Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley, this is definitely your daughter." The room erupted. Eleanor rushed forward, pulling me into an embrace before I could react. She smelled like expensive perfume and something else, something warm and safe that I'd never associated with the word mother before. "My baby," she sobbed against my hair. "My baby girl. We found you. We finally found you." Edward wrapped his arms around both of us, and suddenly I was crying too. Not from sadness this time, but from something else. Something I couldn't quite name. Relief? Joy. The overwhelming weight of discovering that somewhere in the world I had been wanted, loved, missed. "I know you don't know us," Edward said when we finally pulled apart. "I know this doesn't feel real yet. But Clara, we're your family. Your real family. And we're never letting you go again." Eleanor cupped my face in her hands, studying every feature like she was memorizing them. "You're so beautiful. So strong. We've missed so much of your life. But we're here now. We're here, and we're going to make up for every single moment." A technician appeared with a tablet. "Mrs. Kingsley, would you like to see the comparison files?" Eleanor nodded, and suddenly I was looking at photo after photo on the screen. Baby pictures of me alongside pictures of Eleanor and Edward as children. The resemblance was unmistakable. I had Edward's bone structure, Eleanor's mouth, a perfect blend of them both. "We took these the day before you were taken," Eleanor said, showing me a video on her phone. It showed a younger version of her holding a giggling baby, me, in a garden full of roses. "You love flowers. Even as a baby, you'd reach for them and laugh." I watched myself, This tiny, happy baby who had no idea her entire life was about to be stolen. Martha Bennett, I said quietly. The woman who raised me. She was the nanny. She was a con artist, Edward said, his voice turning cold. She had at least 3 false identities. By the time we tracked her down to Ohio, she'd created a whole new life. Married a man named Robert Bennett. Her husband died when I was 12, I interrupted. She said he had a heart attack. He probably never knew the truth about you. Martha was careful, kept you isolated, moved around just enough to avoid detection. We had investigators in Ohio multiple times over the years, but we never. He trailed off, his jaw tight. We never looked closely enough at the right family. She never loved me, I heard myself say. She was always cold, distant, like I was a burden. Now I know why. Oh, sweetheart. Eleanor took my hand. That wasn't about you. That was about her. You were stolen from us, raised by a woman incapable of real love. But you're here now. You're home. Home. The word felt foreign and familiar all at once. What happens now? I asked. Edward and Eleanor exchanged a look. That's up to you, Edward said carefully. We want you to move in with us. Get to know us. Let us help you rebuild your life. But we understand if you need time. This is overwhelming. We have a room ready for you, Eleanor added quickly. At our penthouse. It's yours whenever you want it. No pressure. But Clara, please don't go back to that terrible motel. At least let us put you up in a hotel, somewhere comfortable. How did you know about the motel? They had the grace to look sheepish. We may have had investigators keeping an eye on you, Edward admitted. Just to make sure you were safe while we arranged everything. We know about the divorce. About your husband and that Monroe woman. About your visit to Ohio. Fresh tears burned my eyes. So you know how pathetic my life is. Pathetic? Eleanor looked shocked. Clara, you survived. You built a life despite having no real support. You put yourself through college. You worked multiple jobs. You sacrificed for someone who didn't deserve it. That's not pathetic. That's incredible. Your mother, Martha, she raised you to doubt yourself, Edward added. To believe you were worthless. But you're not. You're a Kingsley. And we're going to help you remember who you really are. I looked at these strangers who were my parents, who had searched for me for 24 years, who were looking at me with such open, desperate love. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. Okay, I whispered. I'd like to go home. To your home. If that's still okay. Eleanor's face transformed with joy. Oh, darling. It's more than okay. It's everything we've dreamed of. The Kingsley penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a Fifth Avenue building. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Central Park. The art on the walls was probably worth more than every place I'd ever lived combined. This is your room, Eleanor said, opening a door to reveal a space bigger than my entire Austin apartment. We decorated it years ago. We'd refresh it every few years, hoping you'd come home someday. The room was beautiful, sophisticated but not stuffy, with a king-sized bed, a private balcony, and a walk-in closet that made my knees weak. There's an ensuite bathroom through there. We can redecorate if you don't like it. Whatever you want. It's yours. I walked to the window and looked out at the glittering city below. 24 hours ago, I was sleeping in a dirty motel, convinced my life was over. Now I was standing in a Manhattan penthouse, looking at a view that most people only saw in magazines. This doesn't feel real, I said. I know. Eleanor came to stand beside me. It's going to take time. But Clara, we meant what we said. You're home now. You're safe. And you never have to worry about being alone again. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Mom told me about some people looking for you. Rich people. Clara, if there's money involved, you better not forget your family. I need that house down payment. I stared at the message, then at Eleanor's kind face, then back at the message. Clara. Eleanor touched my shoulder gently. Is everything all right? The Bennetts are texting me, asking for money. Eleanor's expression darkened. What Martha did to you, to us, it was kidnapping. A federal crime. We could press charges. Have her arrested. She'd spend the rest of her life in prison. Did you just get chills? Clara went from sleeping in a dirty motel to discovering she's a billionaire princess. The same woman Ethan threw away like trash. She's the heir to an empire. And the best part? He has no idea. If you want to see the look on his face when he finds out, you need to subscribe. Because what's coming in the next chapters is the most satisfying revenge you'll ever witness, and it doesn't involve anger. It involves rising. Subscribe now. Trust me, you don't want to miss Clara's glow up. This is where it gets good. Crown sparkles. Part of me wanted that. Wanted Martha to pay for stealing my life, for the years of coldness and manipulation. But another part of me was just tired. Tired of anger, of pain, of looking backward. What do you think I should do? I think, Eleanor said carefully, that you should focus on healing, on building your new life. Let us worry about Martha Bennett. We have lawyers who can handle it. I want to disappear, I heard myself say. From that old life. From everyone who knew Clara Bennett. I want to start over. Then that's what we'll do. Edward appeared in the doorway. Clara, tomorrow we need to discuss your role in the company. The Kingsley Group is your birthright. But there's no rush. Take whatever time you need. Actually, I said slowly, an idea forming. There is something I'd like to do. If you'd be willing to help. They both looked at me attentively. I want to work at Kingsley Group. But I want to do it quietly. As Clara Bennett, not Clara Kingsley. I want to earn my place before anyone knows who I really am. Edward frowned. Why would you want to hide your identity? I thought of Ethan, bragging about Vanessa's connections. Of Martha, valuing me only for what I could give her. Of a lifetime of people seeing me as less than. Because I want to know who I really am, I said. Not as someone's wife. Not as someone's ticket to money. Just me. Who am I when no one knows my name? What can I accomplish on my own? Eleanor smiled, understanding dawning in her eyes. You want to prove yourself? Is that crazy? No, darling. She squeezed my hand. It's exactly what a Kingsley would do. We spent the next 3 days in careful planning. Edward's lawyers drew up new identity documents, social security cards, employment records, everything I needed to exist as both Clara Bennett and Clara Kingsley simultaneously. The fashion division is launching a new line next quarter, Edward explained over breakfast on our third morning together. They're hiring junior designers. We'll get you in legitimately. Your portfolio from college is actually quite good. I blushed. You looked at my old work? We looked at everything, Eleanor admitted. Once we knew who you were, we wanted to know every detail. Your professors all said you had real talent, Clara. You just never had the resources or connections to pursue it properly. And now you do, Edward added. But you'll earn your place on merit. We'll make sure of that. The idea terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. The fashion world was cutthroat. I knew that from college. And Kingsley Group's fashion division was one of the most prestigious in the industry. What if I'm not good enough? I asked quietly. Then you'll learn and get better, Eleanor said firmly. But Clara, you need to stop doubting yourself. That's Martha's voice in your head, not reality. She was right. I'd spent so long being told I wasn't enough that I'd started believing it. There's one more thing you should know, Edward said, his expression turning serious. About the fashion division. What? The head of public relations is Vanessa Monroe. The coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. What? Her father, Robert Monroe, is a major investor in several of our properties. Vanessa came on board about 6 months ago. She's been effective, if somewhat ruthless. So my husband's girlfriend works at the company I'm about to infiltrate. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. This just keeps getting better. We can place you in a different division, Eleanor suggested quickly. There's no reason you have to. No. The word came out harder than I intended. No, I want fashion. And I'm not going to let Vanessa Monroe dictate my choices. Not anymore. Edward studied me with approval. Spoken like a true Kingsley. My first day at Kingsley Group started at 7 in the morning. I wore a simple black dress from Target, all I owned that was remotely professional, and carried a portfolio of my college designs. The Kingsley Tower was all glass and steel, rising 50 stories above Midtown Manhattan. I'd entered through the main lobby with hundreds of other employees, my heart pounding. No one knew who I was. To them, I was just another newbie, another hopeful trying to make it in fashion. The HR rep who checked me in barely glanced at my face. Clara Bennett, junior designer. Take the elevator to the 32nd floor. Ask for Michelle Torres, she's the design team lead. Welcome to Kingsley Group. The 32nd floor was controlled chaos. Designers hunched over drafting tables. Fabric samples covered every surface, and the air hummed with creative energy. You the new intern? A woman in her 40s with purple streaks in her hair appeared at my elbow. I'm Michelle. You're lucky. We're in pitch season, which means you'll either sink or swim real fast. Hope you can handle pressure. I can handle it. We'll see. She led me to a small desk in the corner, barely big enough for a computer and a sketchpad. This is yours. We're working on the spring collection. The theme is urban renaissance. I need 3 concept sketches by end of day. Think you can manage that? Yes, ma'am. It's Michelle. And don't call anyone ma'am here. You'll sound like you're from the Midwest. I bit back a smile. Noted. She started to walk away, then paused. Oh, and fair warning. We're having a cross-departmental meeting at 3. PR is presenting the marketing strategy for the launch. Try not to spill coffee on anyone important. My stomach dropped. PR. Yeah. Vanessa Monroe's running point. She's. Michelle made a face. Well, you'll see. I threw myself into the sketches, trying not to think about the meeting. About seeing Vanessa. About whether she'd recognize me. I'd changed since Austin. Lost weight from stress, cut my hair, started wearing contacts instead of glasses. And I carried myself differently now, with the quiet confidence that came from knowing I had $50 million in a trust fund, even if no one else knew it. But still, she'd been in my apartment. She'd looked me in the eye while destroying my marriage. Would she remember? At 2:55, I followed Michelle and the rest of the design team to a conference room with a view of the city. About 20 people filed in, designers, marketing staff, finance people. And then Vanessa walked in. She looked exactly the same. Perfectly styled blonde hair, designer suit, diamond earrings that probably cost more than my car. She carried herself like she owned the building. Maybe she thought she did. Her father's money had bought her the position, after all. Good afternoon, everyone, she said, her voice sugar-sweet. Let's talk about how we're going to make this launch spectacular. She clicked through a presentation on the screen, marketing strategies, social media plans, influencer partnerships. It was polished, professional, and every word of it was designed to take credit for work she probably hadn't done. The design team has been working hard on the collection, she said, gesturing vaguely toward our group. And while some of the initial concepts were basic, I think with the right marketing push, we can make it work. I saw Michelle's jaw tighten. Around the table, several designers exchanged annoyed looks. The key is controlling the narrative, Vanessa continued. We need to position Kingsley Group as forward-thinking, innovative. That means carefully curating who sees the collection first, who wears it to which events. I've already reached out to several A-list celebrities who've expressed interest. She said it like she'd personally designed every piece. Any questions? A brave soul from marketing raised his hand. What's the budget for the influencer campaign? Whatever it takes to make this successful. Vanessa smiled. The Kingsleys have given me full discretion. That was news to me. And judging by Edward's face when he'd walked me through the org chart, it was probably news to him too. Excellent. Vanessa closed her laptop. I'll need reports from each department by end of week. And remember, this launch needs to be perfect. The Kingsleys are watching. She swept out of the room like a queen, leaving behind a wake of muttered complaints. She's something else, Michelle said under her breath. Has she always been like that? Like what? A credit-stealing, self-important, she caught herself. Sorry. Yes. Since day one. But her dad's connected, so we all just smile and deal with it. I smiled too. But inside, I was making plans. That evening, I worked late at my little corner desk. The office had emptied out by 7, leaving just a handful of dedicated souls scattered across the floor. I was deep into refining one of my sketches when I heard footsteps, burning the midnight oil. I looked up to find a man in his early 30s standing by my desk. Tall, dark-haired, with sharp eyes that didn't miss much. He wore an expensive suit, but had loosened his tie, and he carried 2 cups of coffee. I brought you caffeine, he said, setting 1 cup on my desk. You look like you could use it. Thank you, but I don't. Logan Hale. He extended his hand. Executive VP of Strategic Development. I've been walking the floors, checking on the teams. You're new, right? Clara Bennett. First day. Brutal time to start. Pitch season is chaos. He pulled up a chair, a designer one from someone else's desk, and sat down. What are you working on? I hesitated. Showing work to an executive on day 1 felt like asking for criticism. But something about his expression was genuinely curious, not condescending. I turned my sketchpad around. Logan studied the design, a dress that blended structured tailoring with flowing, organic elements. Urban meets natural, hard edges softened by curves. This is good, he said after a long moment. Really good. The concept is sophisticated but wearable. Did Michelle assign this? She asked for 3 sketches. I've done 8. He smiled. Overachiever. I like it. Mind if I look at the others? I handed over the pad, my heart hammering. Logan flipped through slowly, pausing on each page, his expression thoughtful. You don't carry yourself like an intern, he finally said. There's something different about you. I froze. Different how? Can't quite put my finger on it. But these designs, they're confident. Mature. Like you've been doing this for years, not days. He handed back the pad. Where'd you study? Austin College of Design. Graduated 3 years ago. And you've been working since then? Various jobs. Nothing in fashion. I didn't mention the 2 jobs supporting Ethan, the years of sacrifice. That wasn't this person's story, Clara Bennett, the designer's story. Clara just walked into her own company, and nobody knows she OWNS it. She's about to work alongside the woman who destroyed her marriage. She's going to be in the same building as her cheating ex. And they have no clue who she really is. Can you imagine the power in that? Subscribe right now because the next chapters are going to show you what happens when a woman gets underestimated by the very people who should fear her. The revenge isn't loud, it's strategic. And it's absolutely beautiful. Don't miss a single moment. Hit subscribe. The takedown is coming. Fire crown. Well, you're here now. Don't waste it. He stood, finishing his coffee. Word of advice? Be careful around Vanessa Monroe. My pulse spiked. Why? She's good at what she does, but she's not a team player. She'll take credit for anything that makes her look good and deflect blame for anything that doesn't. Just watch your back. Thanks for the warning. No problem. He paused at the edge of my desk. Clara Bennett. I'll remember that name. After he left, I sat in the quiet office, my mind racing. Logan Hale. I'd heard the name. Edward had mentioned him. Heir to Hale Technologies, one of Kingsley Group's biggest partners. Smart, driven, and according to office gossip, being groomed to eventually take over both companies. And he'd noticed me, not as Clara Kingsley, hidden heiress, but as Clara Bennett, designer. For the first time since this whole crazy journey began, I smiled. Maybe I really could do this. Maybe I really could be someone on my own terms. I worked until midnight, refining my designs until they were perfect. When I finally left the building, the night doorman tipped his hat to me. Burning the midnight oil, miss? Something like that. Well, you're in good company. Mr. Hale just left about 20 minutes ago. That man practically lives here. I thought about Logan's advice, his genuine interest in my work, the way he'd treated me like an equal instead of an intern. The car Eleanor had insisted I use waited at the curb. As we drove through the glittering Manhattan streets toward the penthouse, I pulled out my phone. 3 missed calls from Jason. 2 from Martha. Several increasingly desperate texts demanding I call them back, asking about those rich people who were looking for you. I blocked both numbers. That life, Clara Bennett the doormat, the girl who could never be enough, was over. This was my chance to become someone new. Someone strong. Someone who earned respect instead of begging for it. And I wasn't going to waste it. 3 weeks into my new life at Kingsley Group, I'd established a routine. Arrive early, leave late, and produce work that quietly exceeded expectations. Michelle had started giving me more responsibilities, and my designs were being considered for the actual spring collection. But Vanessa Monroe had also started to notice me. Clara, is it? She appeared at my desk one morning, her smile sharp as broken glass. I need you to run down to the print shop and pick up some promotional materials. And grab me a coffee while you're out. Oat milk, 2 pumps vanilla. I'm actually in the middle of. Did I ask if you were busy? Her voice turned ice cold. You're an intern, sweetie. This is what you do. Michelle shot me an apologetic look from across the room, but said nothing. Vanessa had power here, and everyone knew it. I swallowed my pride and grabbed my coat. This happened again. And again. Coffee runs, dry cleaning pickups, personal errands that had nothing to do with my job. Vanessa seemed to delight in treating me like her personal assistant. But worse than the errands was what happened in meetings. 2 weeks later, I'd created a concept for a sustainable fabric line, recycled materials with luxury appeal. I'd put it in the shared drive for team review, excited to get feedback. The next day, Vanessa presented it to the executive board as her own idea. I stood in the back of the conference room, watching her gesture at my sketches, my material samples, my sustainability research. I've been working on this for weeks, she said smoothly. I think it perfectly captures where fashion needs to go, luxury with consciousness. The board loved it. Logan Hale, sitting at the far end of the table, studied the presentation with interest. "These designs are exceptional, Vanessa," he said. "Very different from your usual style." Something flickered in her expression, just for a second. "I've been expanding my creative range." After the meeting, I found Logan waiting by the elevators. "Those were your designs," he said quietly. It wasn't a question. "I don't know what you mean." "Clara." He stepped closer, his voice low. "I've seen your work. I recognize your signature style. The way you balance structure with fluidity. Those sketches in there? They're yours." "Even if they were, what could I do? She's head of PR. I'm an intern who's been here 3 weeks. You could fight back. And lose my job? No thanks." The elevator dinged. Some battles aren't worth it. But as I walked away, I could feel his eyes on me, assessing. Watching Vanessa steal Clara's work while treating her like a servant. Did that make your blood boil? Good. Hold on to that feeling. Because Clara is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. She's letting them think she's weak. Letting them think she's nobody. And when the truth comes out, the fall is going to be legendary. Subscribe now because the next chapter brings us to the moment we've all been waiting for. The launch event where everything changes. You've come this far. Don't miss the explosion. Click subscribe. Collision Crown. That night, I stayed late again, working on new designs. Around 9 o'clock, I heard voices from the hallway, Vanessa's laugh, and a male voice I recognized with a jolt of shock. "Ethan, the engagement party is going to be perfect," Vanessa was saying. "My father's inviting half of Manhattan's elite. This is exactly the kind of networking opportunity you need, darling." "When do I meet the Kingsleys?" Ethan asked. "You said your connection to them would open doors." "Soon. I'm working on it. Once they see how invaluable I am to the spring launch, they'll have to include me in the inner circle. And where I go, you go." They passed by my desk area without noticing me hunched in the corner shadows. "That pathetic ex-wife of yours," Vanessa continued, her voice fading as they moved away. "She probably crawled back to that worthless family in Ohio. You really dodged a bullet there." My hands shook, smudging the sketch I was working on. Logan appeared from the other direction, carrying his briefcase. He must have heard them too, because his expression was dark. "Clara, I'm fine." "You're not fine. That's your ex-husband." I looked up at him, surprised. "How did you know?" "I make it my business to know things." He pulled up a chair. "And I know that Vanessa Monroe has been stealing your work, running you ragged with personal errands, and treating you like dirt. The question is, why are you letting her?" "Because I'm playing the long game." "What does that mean?" I wanted to tell him. Wanted to explain that I was Clara Kingsley, that I could end Vanessa's career with a single phone call to my father. But that would ruin everything I was trying to build. "It means," I said carefully, "that sometimes you have to let people think they're winning, right up until the moment you prove them wrong." Logan studied me for a long moment, then smiled. "You're not what you seem, are you, Clara Bennett?" "None of us are." He left me with that cryptic exchange hanging in the air. But as I returned to my designs, I was smiling. The spring launch was in 2 weeks. And I had a plan. The spring collection launch was the fashion event of the season. Kingsley Group had rented out the grand ballroom at the plaza, invited every major fashion editor and influencer, and planned an evening that would set the tone for the brand's next decade. And Vanessa Monroe was determined to be at the center of it all. "I need these finalized by tonight," she snapped, dropping a stack of press releases on my desk. "And they better be perfect. One typo, and you're done here." I'd spent the last week handling her grunt work while she took credit for the team's achievements. She'd even started hinting to others that she'd mentored me, that my improvement was due to her guidance. Michelle pulled me aside after Vanessa left. "You know those designs they're showing at the launch? Half of them are yours, and she's going to present them like they're hers." "I know. Doesn't that bother you?" "More than you can imagine." I smiled tightly. "But it's fine. Really." Michelle didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. "Can you feel the tension building? The launch is in days. Vanessa thinks she's about to have her moment of glory. Ethan thinks he's about to network his way into the Kingsley family. And neither of them knows that the intern they've been dismissing is the actual heiress. The storm is coming, and it's going to be beautiful. Subscribe now because the next chapter is the moment, the public exposure that will leave you cheering. The moment Clara stops hiding and shows the world exactly who she is. That afternoon, I was in the fabric library researching materials when I heard footsteps behind me. "You're still here." Logan appeared, loosening his tie. It's 7 o'clock, Clara. Even the workaholics have gone home. Big event coming up. Want to make sure everything's perfect. He leaned against the table, studying me. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why fashion? You clearly have the talent, but there's something else driving you. What is it? I thought about how to answer. I spent a long time being invisible, being told I wasn't good enough, smart enough, pretty enough. Fashion is about transformation, taking raw materials and creating something beautiful, something that makes people feel powerful. I met his eyes. I guess I wanted to prove I could create that feeling, for myself and others. That's the best answer I've heard in a long time. He pushed off the table. You're going to the launch, right? I'm working it. Backstage crew. You should be in the audience, seeing your work presented properly. Maybe next time. Logan pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. Done. You're on the VIP list now. Sit in the audience. Watch your designs get the recognition they deserve, even if Vanessa tries to steal the credit. Logan, you don't have to. I want to. His expression was intense. Clara, I don't know what your story is, but I know talent when I see it. And I know someone who's been underestimated their entire life. You deserve to be in that room as a guest, not as staff. After he left, I called Eleanor. Mom. The word still felt strange on my tongue. It's happening. The launch is in 4 days. Are you ready? I think so. Logan Hale just put me on the VIP list. I'll be in the audience. And your father and I will be there too. Eleanor's voice was warm. We've been planning this, darling. Edward will arrive late. Make a dramatic entrance during Vanessa's presentation. You're sure about this? Once we reveal who I am, there's no going back. Clara, you've proven yourself a dozen times over. You've created exceptional work, handled Vanessa's abuse with grace, and shown more strength than most people achieve in a lifetime. You've earned this moment. And honestly, her voice turned steely. I'm looking forward to watching that woman's face when she realizes who she's been bullying. 2 days before the launch, I was walking past a conference room when I heard Ethan's voice inside. Told you, Vanessa, I need an introduction to the Kingsleys. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. And I told you, it takes time. You can't just walk up to one of the richest families in America and ask for money. I'm not asking for money. I'm offering business opportunities. With your connection and my ideas. I kept walking, but my heart was pounding. Ethan was here, in the building, and he still had no idea that his pathetic ex-wife was the Kingsley heiress he was so desperate to meet. The irony was almost too perfect. The night before the launch, I stood in my penthouse bedroom, looking at the dress Eleanor had chosen for me, a stunning midnight blue gown with the Kingsley ruby necklace. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, Clara Bennett would disappear, and Clara Kingsley would take her place. I was ready. The Plaza Ballroom glittered with Manhattan's elite. Fashion editors sat beside celebrities, investors mingled with designers, and camera flashes created a constant strobe effect. The spring collection hung on sleek displays around the room, each piece lit like fine art. My pieces, my designs. But according to the program, they were all credited to the Kingsley design team, under the creative direction of Vanessa Monroe, head of public relations. I sat in the back row, wearing the midnight blue gown Eleanor had chosen. I'd swept my hair up, applied makeup with care, and wore the ruby necklace openly. Several people had glanced at me curiously, clearly trying to place me, but no one had made the connection yet. Logan sat 3 rows ahead, next to other executives. He'd turned once, caught my eye, and smiled. The lights dimmed. Vanessa took the stage in a spotlight, looking triumphant. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Kingsley Group's Spring Renaissance Collection. Her voice carried perfectly through the sound system. Tonight represents months of hard work, creative vision, and dedication to pushing fashion forward. She clicked to the first slide, my sustainable fabric concept. I'm particularly proud of this eco-luxury line, which combines recycled materials with high-end design. It's been my passion project, and I believe it represents the future of responsible fashion. Applause rippled through the room. I gripped my clutch tighter. The key pieces you'll see tonight embody urban elegance, structured yet flowing, powerful yet feminine. Each design tells a story of transformation and strength. She was literally reading from my design notes, word for word. The presentation continued, slide after slide of my work, with Vanessa taking credit for every concept, every innovation, every creative choice. I saw Logan's shoulders tense. He knew. Vanessa was building toward her conclusion when the main doors opened. Edward Kingsley walked in. The room fell silent. You didn't interrupt a Kingsley group presentation unless you were a Kingsley yourself. Excuse me. Edward's voice carried across the ballroom. Ms. Monroe, I believe there's been an error in your presentation. Vanessa froze, her smile becoming brittle. Mr. Kingsley? I'm not sure what you mean. The designs you're presenting. He walked down the center aisle, every eye following him. You've forgotten to credit the actual designer. Cameras started flashing. Confused murmurs spread through the audience. Sir, I assure you the design team is fully credited in the program. I'm not talking about the team. Edward's gaze swept the room and landed on me. Clara, would you please stand up? My heart hammered as I rose to my feet. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. In the elegant gown with the Kingsley ruby, the family resemblance was unmistakable. Eleanor appeared from the side entrance, moving to stand beside Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, her voice thick with emotion, allow me to reintroduce our daughter, Clara Kingsley, the rightful heir to the Kingsley Group. The room erupted. Camera flashes became a storm of light. Journalists shouted questions. Vanessa stood frozen on stage, her face draining of color. I walked down the aisle toward my parents, feeling every eye on me. 24 years ago, our daughter was stolen from us, Edward continued. We never stopped searching. And 3 months ago, through a DNA match, we found her. Clara has been working at our company incognito, proving herself on merit alone. The designs you've seen tonight? They're hers. The sustainable luxury concept? Hers. The urban renaissance theme? Hers. Logan stood, his expression shifting from shock to understanding. The intern, he said quietly, was never just an intern. I finished, reaching the front of the room. I turned to face Vanessa, who looked like she might faint. Ms. Monroe, I said calmly, thank you for the opportunity to learn what true character looks like, and what it doesn't. Eleanor wrapped an arm around my shoulders. Clara has shown more integrity and talent in 3 weeks than some people show in their entire careers. These designs represent her vision, her work, her voice. This is impossible, Vanessa whispered. You're just what? I met her eyes. Just the woman you've been bullying? Just the intern whose work you stole? Just the ex-wife of your fiancé? I let that sink in. Yes, Vanessa. I know Ethan's here. And I know exactly what you both are. In the third row, Ethan had risen to his feet, his face white with shock. Our eyes met across the ballroom, and I smiled. The media explosion was immediate. By morning, every major outlet was running the story. Lost heiress found. Kingsley daughter returns after 24 years. Cinderella story of Manhattan's elite. But the story that gained the most traction was about Vanessa Monroe stealing designs from the secret heiress. Security footage was leaked to the press, showing Vanessa accessing my files, presenting my work as her own, treating me like her personal servant. The Kingsley Group legal team was thorough. Within 48 hours, Vanessa was fired. Her father's company faced investigation for the suspicious timing of several real estate deals. And Ethan, her ambitious fiancé, found himself unemployed and publicly humiliated. I was in my office, my real office now, on the executive floor, when security called. Miss Kingsley, there's an Ethan Cole here to see you. Should we remove him? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to send him away, to never face him again. But I needed closure. Send him up, but have security wait outside the door. Ethan looked terrible. Unshaven, rumpled suit, dark circles under his eyes. This wasn't the confident man who'd walked out of our apartment 3 months ago. Clara. His voice cracked. I can't believe. All this time you were rich. I leaned back in my leather chair, behind my mahogany desk, in my corner office overlooking Central Park. Is that what you came to say? That you're sorry you left me because it turns out I was secretly wealthy? No. I mean, yes, but, he stepped forward, and security tensed at the door. I was stupid. Vanessa, she manipulated me. She promised me opportunities, connections. But it was all lies. She just wanted to use me to get closer to your family. And you let her use you because you wanted the same thing. He had the grace to look ashamed. I thought I wanted success, money, status. I thought you were holding me back. But Clara, we had something real. We could try again. You're different now, you're rich, I repeated. That's the only difference you see, isn't it, Ethan? I'm the same person I was 3 months ago. Same values, same heart, same woman who loved you enough to work 2 jobs while you chased dreams. The only thing that's changed is my bank account. That's not fair. Fair. I stood, fury finally breaking through my calm exterior. You want to talk about fair? You humiliated me in our own home. You defended your mistress over your wife. Your mother told me I was worthless while you packed your bags. And now that you know I'm a Kingsley, now that I'm exactly the kind of connection you wanted, you come crawling back. I made a mistake. You made a choice. You chose Vanessa because you thought she could give you the life you wanted. You chose status over love, money over loyalty. And you know what? I should thank you. He blinked. What? If you hadn't left me, I'd never have found my real family. I'd never have discovered my own strength. I'd still be that woman who believed your lies, who thought she wasn't good enough. I walked to the door, opened it. You leaving me was the best thing that ever happened to me, Ethan, because it forced me to find out who I really am. Clara, please. It's Miss Kingsley, and we're done here. Security will escort you out. And Ethan, I met his eyes one last time. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't send letters or flowers or apologies. You had a wife who loved you. You threw her away. You don't get a second chance just because you found out she was priceless. Security stepped forward. Ethan looked like he wanted to argue, but what could he say? He'd gambled on Vanessa and lost everything. As they led him away, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no regret. Just peace. That afternoon, I held a press conference to announce the Second Chance Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting women abandoned or abused by partners. Some men leave when they think you're nothing, I told the reporters, cameras flashing. But sometimes, the woman they walk away from turns out to be everything. This foundation is for every woman who's been told she isn't enough, who's been underestimated, undervalued, or thrown away. You are enough, and you deserve a second chance. The clip went viral within hours. 6 months later, the Second Chance Foundation had helped over 2,000 women. We provided career training, legal support, therapy, and microloans for women starting over after divorce or abuse. I threw myself into the work, splitting time between the foundation and Kingsley Group's fashion division. My sustainable luxury line launched to critical acclaim, and I'd been featured in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Forbes 30 Under 30. But the best part wasn't the success or the recognition. It was the freedom. The foundation's gala was held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. 500 guests, millions raised, and speeches from women whose lives had been transformed by our programs. I was backstage, preparing for my closing remarks, when Logan found me. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. I smiled. Public speaking isn't my strength. Could have fooled me. You've been doing press conferences for months. Over the past half year, Logan and I had grown close. What started as professional respect had deepened into friendship, then something more. He'd been there through every milestone, supporting the foundation, offering business advice, making me laugh when the pressure felt overwhelming. And somewhere along the way, I'd fallen in love with him. Clara. He took my hand, and suddenly he looked nervous too. Before you go out there, I need to ask you something. Now? Logan, I'm about to. I know. Terrible timing. But if I don't do this now, I'll lose my nerve. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. My heart stopped. I'm not proposing, he said quickly, then smiled. Well, I am. But not like this. Not backstage at a gala. You deserve better than that. Then what? I'm proposing that you let me propose. Properly. Next month, when we're in Paris for Fashion Week. I have this whole plan. Dinner at Jules Verne, the Eiffel Tower lit up behind us, the ring that belonged to my grandmother. He opened the box, showing me a stunning sapphire surrounded by diamonds. But I wanted you to see it now. To know that when I ask you to marry me, it's not because you're a Kingsley. It's because you're Clara, the woman who rebuilt herself from nothing, who turned pain into purpose, who proved that true strength isn't about what you have, but who you are. Tears blurred my vision. Logan, you don't have to answer now. In fact, please don't. Let me do this right. But Clara, you need to know something. He cupped my face gently. I'm not marrying a princess. I'm marrying a woman who knows what it means to lose everything, who fought her way back with grace and dignity, who inspires me every single day to be better. You're really going to make me cry before I have to give a speech? He laughed and kissed my forehead. Go. Give them hell. And think about Paris. My speech was a success. Women cried, donors opened their checkbooks, and by the end of the night, we'd raised enough to double our programs. But the moment that mattered most came 3 months later, in Paris, exactly as Logan promised. He proposed under the Eiffel Tower's lights, and I said yes without hesitation. We married that winter in a private ceremony at the Kingsley estate. Eleanor cried happy tears. Edward walked me down the aisle with pride in his eyes. And Logan promised to love me not for what I had, but for who I'd become. A year after that, I was driving through downtown Austin for a board meeting. We were opening a Second Chance Foundation branch in Texas, and I'd come back to where it all began. I stopped at a red light and glanced out the window. There, sitting alone at a bus stop, was Ethan. He looked worn down, older, defeated. Our eyes met for just a moment. He started to stand, recognition and hope flickering across his face. But I simply nodded politely, the way you might acknowledge a stranger. Then the light turned green, and I drove away in my sleek black town car, toward the future I'd built. As the Austin skyline disappeared behind me, I smiled. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you truly are, I whispered. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, perfectly free. And just like that, Clara drove away. No anger, no bitterness, just peace, just freedom, just a woman who lost everything and became everything. If this story touched your soul, made you cry, made you believe that comeback stories are real, you need to subscribe to this channel. Every day, I share stories like Clara's. Stories of women who were broken but rebuilt themselves, who were betrayed but found themselves, who were told they were nothing but proved they were everything. This is more than entertainment. It's fuel for your own transformation. Subscribe now and join thousands of women who come here for daily reminders that Sparkle's your past doesn't define your future. Sparkle's betrayal can birth your greatest chapter. Sparkle's the woman they underestimated becomes the queen they'll never forget. New empowering stories every single week. Hit that subscribe button. Your crown is waiting. Crown Gemstone. Because sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find who you truly are. Welcome to the family, Queen. Let's rise together. Glowing star.